Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we have an Annapolis by RCA, another iconic mid-century stereo console, and this one pretty much for its curvature. As you can see there, it's got this gorgeous curved, it's kind of, I don't know, is it like that kind of jet age feel, you know, turbines and what have you. Anyway, a very, very popular mid-century stereo console. I've had a few of these. I believe this one is a Mark II. I think they gave them, somebody gave them Mark numbers because I think the Mark I was slightly bigger, and then the Mark II had this solid state unit, this dial face, and then the 3 was slightly smaller. But even though the chassis was smaller, the cabinet remained the same size. Anyway, feel free to correct me on that, but I believe this is a Mark II. It's got the Mark II player for this guy because it's got this big dial. It's also got the record sensor. The later one, you had to choose the record size on the dial right there. It's kind of a square dial. But the arm, the cartridge all remain the same. Anyway, she sounds good. She needs a complete service, very scratchy, lots of dirt in there. But yeah, I'm going to restore this one. I don't think I've done an RCA yet, a thorough restoration video anyway. But I'll try to be thorough on this guy. And yeah, we're going to fix her. Okay, we've got the back off, and there's its separate amplifier. We're going to take that guy out, give it a good thorough check out, and obviously a recap. Tuner section, same thing, that'll go that way. We'll do that. Oh, look at that. It's funny what you find in consoles. I found some strange stuff in consoles, but that's another video. Also, the infamous RCA 3-prong adapter for your tape player. There's a guy on eBay who makes these, 3D prints these, but somebody very good already installed one. This was mounted onto the backboard, but they did a really good job because the cable's all shielded, and so I'm going to leave that and get my Bluetooth in there. But I should post a link for this guy who makes these little connectors. They're very, very good. I've used them in the past. I used to make my own out of Molex, but this guy's really good. Also, the big, I think they're 15-inch elliptical woofers. There's an inherent problem with these. So we'll take them both off to check for that problem. We'll discuss that more. And obviously, the crossover caps. All right, let's get going. Okay, the amp. So we got our speaker audio outputs here. They're different sizes. That's the ground there, but I think they're even different sizes. Yeah, that's fatter than the other side, but we can take those off. Take good photos of all the cabling as usual. But yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this guy just lifts up. So we'll do that. Oh, and of course, then you've got plugs back here. You've got power in and out for the record player as well. Also the lamp, on-off signal lamp that goes on the front. That can unplug from here. Turntable is nicely tucked up in there. There's a board there, but we'll disconnect those as well and get the turntable out. That's a telltale sign, that being undone. That means this turntable's been out before. You know what I mean? Yes, it's like detective work. All right, we'll get that guy out. Okay, we got the guy on the bench, but I'm gonna take it outside and blow all that crap off it. Okay, that's better. We got all that 50 years of gunk off it. All right, so we got these big guys here, 1500s. They'll work nicely. And then what we're going to do with these ones, they're all axials. These are radial. These are axial. But we'll do this. We'll do the splits. because there's plenty of lead dress. There's plenty of that. So we'll do the splits. But yeah, we'll get to recapping that. The strange thing about this unit is the photo fact is in here, is in this TV section. There's our number, 209B. Same with the tuner section. That'll be in here as well. So yeah, when you get those photo facts and throw the TV sections away, you don't want to do that because console stuff is in here, especially for the RCA stuff. They put it in here. You'd think it'd be like a nice image like that on a photo fact, but nope, on this one. And it's, as you can see, I've come across it before and I just write down the chassis numbers there. All right, let's get cracking. Okay, we're going to take the turntable out next. RCA has a completely different mounting system than everybody else. If you lift the flap up here, you can see there's that one, and spin it round, and that guy right there, they've got to come out. Those are transport screws to basically push this thing down when it's being maneuvered. But to get the turntable out, those screws have got to come all the way out. Make it easier, and we're going to take this off anyway. There's a little circlip right here. Release that, and then the whole platter will come up, and those screws are way easier to get to. Okay, we're going to take it off in situ here. So we'll take the circlip off. I'm doing this one-handed, so hopefully it'll work with these circlip pliers. And let me get my big ass thumb out the way. And then we just lift, squeeze, and there we go, one-handed, off it comes. So we'll stick that on top. I can't do this one-handed because I've got to do two hands to get this up, but then basically give this a wiggle and this will all come up. Okay, with those 5/16 nut bolts out, we can now pull the turntable out. There's those cables. I spoke out of turn. This guy here is not connected to the amplifier. It's actually connected to the tuner section, so you will need to unplug that. And then the power will come up through the hole. As you can see, I'm doing this one-handed. Through there, and the same here. It's a 3-prong RCA special. That was plugged into the tuner section because that's where the audio's got to go in first. And yeah, then you get the turntable out. Obviously that 50 years of dirt and dust will blow that out later. All right, here we go. Okay, the tuner section. So we've disconnected from the amp power supply, its power supply, and that is the audio out with that 3-pin. There is 1 and 2 mounting nut bolts. They've got to come out. It'll kind of be stuck because there's rubber mounts there. And then this thing just lifts out from the top. You got to give it a bit of a wiggle. Also, you got to take off this guy we talked about earlier. Take that off because he's hardwired in, as you can see, and he'll come out with it. And this notation, this is there for a reason. Make sure you disconnect these FM antenna leads and don't just pull them. Do it two-handed. Grab this thing very gently. Actually spray some deoxit or WD-40, because if this thing break, this connection, you're in a world of hurt. And how do I know that? Yeah. So be very careful unplugging the FM leads as per the notice. Okay, so I already give it a little bit of a wiggle to break that rubber mount there, and you can see the pins. I'll show you, those pins are stuck in the, but just bring it gently up and on the bench. Okay, so those pins right there, those are the locating pins, and as you can see, it pulled out that rubber mount. That rubber's in good shape. I'll show you right there. There they are. And that's why it gets sticky sometimes, and you think there's something, you stick to those and you think something's up. Okay, we're going to get the elliptical speaker out, 15x9. These are proprietary to RCA. Word of caution, when you pull this off, hold this guy with one hand, because this rivet will pop off and then you have to redo the ribbon wires to the speaker cone. pain in the you-know-what. Very careful pulling that off. Okay, we're going to take the other one out now and check it, but I forgot to mention, spray some contact cleaner, put a rag behind here, and spray some contact cleaner on these, and it'll help loosen it up so you can pull them off without pulling that rivet out. Okay, there it is, the 15x9 elliptical woofer, which was pretty much proprietary to RCA back in the day. You cannot buy these new. So when you have them, you got to kind of really look after them, because what happens, the inherent flaw with this is because of the shape, the stress points are right here. And over age, especially if it's not been stored right, you'll get cracks in the paper, especially on these corners. And you have to do the old paper towel glue trick, wood glue paper towel trick, which just Google that. I've done it before. It works very well. Now, this guy is really, really nice. It's been stored nice, but trying to find it, it looks like it might be starting to go right there. And I'm not going to push it, obviously, but what we're going to do is we're going to just put a nice thin coat, brush it on, of wood glue or contact cement, whichever you prefer, but that'll stop it from getting any bigger. But it's really, really mild. That might be one right there trying, you see that? That could be one. But anyway, these are really nice. I've seen worse where there's been cracks here, and we got to do the old paper towel and wood glue trick. There's no point showing me because I'm not going to do it on this, but I am going to put a little smear on these right here and here, and that'll stop it spreading. But these are really, really nice. I've seen far worse. Okay, the glue has dried, and you can't even tell it was there. A little bit there, a little bit right there. And that'll make it a little stronger, stop it from spreading. It won't affect anything acoustically because it's right on the edge, where this doesn't move. As we know, it moves more central. But it'll just, like I said, it'll stop it from spreading, and you're good to go. Okay, back to the tuner. We're going to remove this plate here, the dial plate, faceplate, whatever you call it. Pull these knobs off very gently, boom, boom, boom. And then there's just literally 1, 2, and same on the other side. When we do get it off, you can see this is quite tight. This is supposed to be a nice kind of a chrome finish. I think this is made out, I think it might be aluminum, but it could be die-cast pot metal, I'm not really sure. But as you can see, it's got some little corrosion here and definite fading. But we're going to use this stuff, metal polish cream, Blue Magic. This is great on aluminum and chrome finishes. So we'll clean that up when it's off. Pull these knobs off very gently, especially this one. This is the tuning section, the dial, and it's got an interesting push for AFC, automatic frequency control. This was a device, I believe, that locked onto the signal. So as you can see, this moves here. Then when you got the strongest signal as you could get normally, you'd push this in, just like that, and it would lock onto the signal or drag it in better. I'm sure there's better terms than I ever used, but anyway, you can Google that. You will need to clean that contact, yeah, you'll clean that contact, and when you turn this, it clicks off again. This is very fragile because it's plastic. Don't mess around, that breaks, you don't have that feature anymore. But yeah, clean that out. We'll then replace the bulbs. They're all burned out. There's 1, 2, I think there's 3, 4 in total, but as you can see, that guy's burned out. We'll be recapping from the top, and interestingly, this one has been replaced. And how do we know that? Because if you look underneath it, like it'll focus, you see the little ring there? That was the original pushed up against the board, and just a little bit of leakage probably, but that's been replaced in its past, but nothing else. Everything else is original. But yeah, we're going to replace all those. The stereo FM section, MPX I guess you could call it, tuner section right there, and then there's some caps, oops, See? That's what you do in your video, and you could break stuff. And then there's some caps underneath there as well. So yeah, we'll get to do that, give it a good clean, and we'll fade out with this image, and hopefully a lot better when we fade back in. Okay, there she is, cleaned up very nicely, and let's talk about how we got there. Okay, we've got the plate off there, and now we get to the plastic behind it, the Lexan acrylic. This cover goes right there, 2 screws comes off, and also this foam has all perished and rotted out, so that's got to be scraped off very gently because you don't want to scrape this. And we'll put some new seal there, like weather stripping. These are pretty hard to get off. Make sure you clean these first very gently with whatever your preferred cleaning solution is. I use some naphtha so that you can very gently wiggle these off. You don't want to bend them, so they will come off because there's 2 there. Also, this function indicator, when you pull this off there, be very, very careful. Once again, clean this first because it is plastic and it will break. As you can see, that was already broken off. Don't know why. So clean that well and wiggle it off. And then you'll basically do these screws, and then this will come this way because we don't want to disturb the dial indicator right there because it slides in, if you see what I mean. All right, more stuff. Okay, we've got all that stuff off, and we're going to start cleaning here. I use just a wet rag because it's just dust. If you use a cleaning product, it leaves smears, which are really hard to get off, but just a wet rag, damp rag. Same with this guy. We'll put some of this stuff, which is speaker surround sealer. So we'll put that, it's nice and soft. We'll put that there, clean that off. But once again, just a wet rag. These were in 2 pieces. I thought it was 1, but yeah, they're in 2 pieces. And then, when it's all done, I'm going to put a smear of silicone around on these to help those get back on, and also the knobs will slip on nicer because they were very stiff to get off. All right. Okay, so noticeable difference there. Cleaned this all up. We got a new foam on. Another reason to use just a bit of water on this is this paint will come off so easy with today's modern cleaners. Even a mild detergent can sometimes rub this gentle paint on the other side off, so just use a damp rag. Okay, so that cleaned up very nicely, as you can see. I did end up using some 4-0 steel wool with this stuff because this was very, very tarnished, but as you can see, it cleaned up nicely. Not on this chromy stuff. This is kind of like a nickel finish, and this is like chrome. Didn't wire that, didn't need it. But yeah, there you go. Okay, so the preamp section is recapped. As you can see, I did the splits with these radials, and I try to do the splits as much as possible on this older stuff because you see this 60-year-old solder right here? Use the solder sucker, you're introducing a lot of heat to break that, and what happens a lot is you actually lift the copper trace, and then you end up breaking it, and now you've got to even more work to be done. So that's me. I like to do the splits as much as possible with this older stuff, and it works. Okay, the record changer, the RP-218. Quite a simple mechanism. Show you how to do that. The idler looks pretty damn hard. I don't know if that's going to be salvaged. We might have to send that in to Gary at Voice of Music, but you can see that movement there. It's going to need motor mounts. But yeah, an easy service, this one. So let's get cracking. Okay, we've got her upside down. Take a look. at what needs to be done. So very simple, very easy to get at. This does not have to come off because there's lots of spring-loaded stuff, and it's all very accessible to clean. As you can see, old grease, that's all got to come off, and new stuff put on, lithium, white lithium. But yeah, all accessible. You can see here, it's all smeared on here. Also, we're going to change the motor mounts. As you can see, they're all rotted out, but we'll take this off. We'll show that separately about getting that off, and the armature bearing there, bronze bushing and what have you. Clean that out. Also, when you take this guy off, these levers will have to come off as well. And when they do, they break this bushing right here. See if I can do it. You can see it's already crumbling. Yeah, gone. Those little rubber bushings are replaceable, and we're going to use these guys, little grommets right here. This is the correct size, so we're going to replace all those. I've got this kit, but I seem to use those more than anything. So we're going to replace those, all the rubber. And the real thing to remember with the RCA RP-218 and all its predecessors and next ones is, if you see this gold-colored piece of metal, I don't think it's really copper, it might be copper plated, but if you see that against metal, don't grease it. That's the friction lever, and it's supposed to be like that. Same with this guy. Don't grease that between the metal. Now, if it's actually rubbing on something and you see a cam action on it, then sure, but see so it's sandwiched, no grease in there. And that's because it's a friction lever. Now this is the record reject. At the end of the record, this would push this over, and that will trip the record to drop the next one or end the cycle. A lot of people have an issue with that because they grease it and it doesn't work properly, but I'll show you that when I take it off. Actually, we have a little problem right here. The arm is super stiff as I'm doing it right there, and I got a funny feeling all this oil or grease in there has glued up. So that could be WD-40, heat, whatever, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, so this guy is stiff. I put some penetrating fluid on, some WD-40 right down in here, but I think I'm going to introduce a little bit of heat. Put a soldering iron on there, melt whatever's in there. I really don't want us to take the tone arm off, because that means a lot of stuff's got to come off. There's a big circlip here, there's a spring-loaded nut. It just creates a lot of heartache later. So I'm going to introduce heat to that, and hopefully it'll free it up. Remembering me telling you before about this reject arm right here. So as you can imagine, the tone arm moves along, and then that touches the reject connector, what do you call it, trip on the main cog right there, the main drive wheel. This should not have grease, it should be friction. We've already talked about that, and you can see it operating there just like that. We'll take the motor off. We've talked about that already, but I just wanted to share with you what I'm going to do right there. Okay, so I got a nice, 60-watt soldering iron. You can see it's already smoking the WD-40. I'm not putting it up here, I put it on the cast. This is cast aluminum right here. Put it on that, and hopefully that's going to melt inside the old grease. Am I on any rubber or anything? No, there's no rubber there. I think it's just WD-40 melting. Yeah. Burning, should I say. But yeah, we'll put that on there and see what happens. Okay, with a bit of heat and some WD-40 penetrating fluid, we are now freed up. The whole shaft moves. That's very nice, not having to take that all apart. That would have been a little bit of a pain and a nightmare. All right, we can continue. Okay, so we got that moving, which is nice. We've done a nice cleanup, yet to grease, but I thought I'd share with you how to get this baby off. So remember exactly how this clips and bushings. There's like a little washer underneath here and stuff. So we're going to pop that clip off and then just lay that like that gently. Then this guy comes off. As you can see, there's a spring and another washer underneath there, and we're just going to clean this. I use acetone, but yeah, we're going to clean that up so it's dirt free, and it's all about the friction, because we love friction. I mean the good kind, you know what I mean. Anyway, give that a really good clean, and don't forget how it went on. So we'll place it like that, and then we're going to place our cleaning unit underneath there and just give it a good clean on the steel part. Looks like there was actually a little bit of oil on there. So we're going to clean that off. You notice I'm not taking anything apart, so that then we absolutely know how it all goes back together. Same here. We take the spring off very gently, and then we clean that. Now, because that's not the friction part, we are going to put a dab, ever so little smidge of dab of oil on there. We're going to place this back on, and it goes into that slot there, and then we're going to put that guy. Notice there's no oil or grease sandwiched between the two. We don't want that. Then we're going to get our clip, if I can get it with, because it's tiny with one hand. Put our clip back on, it's resting in place, and I will get my screwdriver, and we're going to clip that screwdriver, idiot, pliers, and we're on. Bada bing. All right, and that is exactly how it should be. Okay, with that done, we're now going to move to the motor. I'm going to oil this first, then do the mounts, because it's just way easier to get this thing off while it's still mounted. So that's the wrong one. 5/16. So we'll take that off. And this is the, oh, it's not really a bearing per se, but it's the housing for the armature. Let's not lose those washers. What was that? Oh, that was the screw. Perfect. Good. And there you go. So it's kind of like a bronze bushing, and in there is some kind of felt to hold the oil, but that's basically bronze on that there steel armature. And as you can see, that is really, really dirty. So what you do is you give that a really good clean. There's no reason to take this out because it actually looks pretty damn good. Sometimes people would like to remove the capstan on the other side, take the whole thing out, but then you have a chance of damaging the capstan, which I'll show you on the other side. So yeah, give that a good clean, give in there a good clean, and then stick a bunch of oil in. You get the Q-tip in there. What I do is I actually pull off a bunch of this stuff, trim it down, wet it, and then clean it in that way, as you can see. That there. Look at that. Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to give that a clean. Okay. Then we're going to fill this guy with some oil. Now this does have an oil port right there, which you can oil, but since we got it off, we're going to drop some, and also in there, but we'll drop some in there, a little bit on there, and on it goes. Like so. Get it back on. Good. But we will oil from the top as well, say the top, the bottom. And we've got this screw here. Drop more oil. 91 is done. Okay, we'll oil the other side when we flip it over, but right now we're going to do the motor mounts. Okay, with that done, we're now going to get the motor mounts off. There's a clip here. We do not need to dewire the motor. We'll just lie it down and let it hang per se. Get that clip there. And then as you take it off, oh, there's these washers, sorry. And they usually stick to the rubber, but these little copper washers, we want those. Yeah, all gonna break off. This one right here. Right, and then we're going to lift, and as we lift, we've got to get these levers. There's a speed selector and such. I've got to move my weight over, there we go. And as they come up, you kind of do a little wiggle, and that one's a little wiggle, like that. And as you can see, all these have now just fallen apart, including that one there as well, just all going. So, a lot of cleaning, get all this stuff off, clean, and then we can spin the motor over and start on that guy right there. There's the capstan. That's what I'm saying. Taking that off to get the armature out, not worth it. But yeah, then we're gonna check that out. But for now, we gotta clean all this up, place it to one side like that, and then we're gonna replace, as you can see, these on here as well, and here the rubber. All right. Okay, we're going to clean this guy up. I left that one in there to remind myself which way they go on. I know, after all these, even though I've done so many, trust me, you get to forget sometimes. So we're going to take this off, which is the idler wheel. Remember I said before it was, wrong screwdriver. Remember I said it was hard. I'm not sure how good or bad it is, so I'd take it off. But, oh yeah, see that? Remember the amount of washers that are there? That's spacer washers right there. They're there because there was making sure that this was resting on the right point of the capstan for speed. So we're going to place those with the clip itself, so we know they go back on that way. For this wheel, it might change for a different wheel if they have to change it. There you go, even more washers, they're fiber washers. I'm going to leave them on there so I know that that side is how many should be going on there for this wheel. Now, I don't know, it's not bad. I might have to do my you know, freshen up trick, but it's not bad. We'll see. If I don't have to send it in, would be great, as long as it works properly. But I also might have one in stock. I have to have a look and replace it with a brand new one if I can't get this guy to freshen up. All right, there's the motor. This reminds me of a Webcore. I think it might be made by Webcore, with the way the speed selector moves up and down. But basically, you just got to clean this, and there's some grease here and some grease over there. I'll show you that. But basically, it's just an exercise in cleaning right now. We've also got to drop some oil in the top here, so I'll show you that in a minute if I can get to it. There's should be an oil port on the back side. Oh yeah, I think you have to drop it in right in through there, but let me double check that one. Those bushings came up when I lifted that up, but let me get a light on this. Yeah, there it is. So there is an oil port right there, like on the other side, and we can drop oil in right there. You can also drop it in from the top as well. But anyway, lots of cleaning, and then we're going to put new mounts on, and we'll talk about that. Okay, with it all nice and clean, we're going to grease it up in a moment. But although this original wheel wasn't bad, I actually have one in stock. I usually send 2 or 3 of these at a time because of the postage. I send them priority mail, but we'll put a new one from Gary at Voice of Music and save that one for another day. That might have to be sent in, or I'll refurbish it. Now, we got those little grommets right here for the levers. The ones on the other side are actually nice and soft. I guess these perish because of the heat, but we're going to put those in. I think those are the right size. Mind you, it looks like it could be bigger. Let's have a look, see if it goes in. Oh, perfect. That one goes in there, and then this one goes in there. So they got brand new rubber right there. Motor mounts, as you can see, the original post here is straight. These, if I can show you, these are straight. Don't use the concave ones, which are for Voice of Music and a bigger pin. I'm pretty sure this is Webcore, uses a straight mount right here. So we'll pop those in. Like so. You can see why I left that one in now, because trust me, I put them in backwards and then I found out the hard way and I put it back on. Even though, like I said, I've done this loads and loads of times, I can still goof it up. That one goes on there. Like so. We'll get this guy off. It's all hard, and stab yourself with in the finger. Wow, that is. There we go. Off it comes. Do that. Get rid of the crap, and put the final one on. like so. And there you go. Now we've got to do, slap some grease on. Okay, with the grease on, we'll put a bit of oil on this guy. We're going to drop our new wheel on. It's touching that right now. There we go. Jesus, there we go. You know, it's kind of hard to get it not. All right, there we go. We'll put our 3 spacers back on, because that seems to be, even for the new wheel, the perfect amount. Don't get oil on your new wheel because it will start to slip. Get the clip on, like so. Get the pliers, and there we go. Give that a clean. Once you got it fixed on the other side, make sure you get no oily residue from your fingers on it. All right. These are good. I feel like I'm just going to check those. So yeah, I actually swapped those out for the next size up. I think I was on, they were a little bit too loose. So I am going with the next size up, so it's a bit more of a snugger fit. I don't need that to, I don't need them to pop out, you know what I mean? There we go. Yeah, that's way better on the ID, sorry, on the OD. The ID is the same as the other one, but they better snugger fit. Okay, now the fun part. We got to get these, flip this back over, but at the same time, getting those levers back in. And I think the trick is you do, where are we? I think you do the little guy first because it goes that way. And then you do the big guy because it goes that way. Then you maneuver those so they drop in just like that. All right. We've got the operational is in there working, and speed selector, and yeah, these are nice and snug. These didn't need doing. These are very nice and soft, so we'll leave those on there. And then it's basically just the reverse. We're going to put these washers back on like so. Okay, there we go. New rubber. It's always a good thing. All right, so that's all done. We're going to grease this up, and then we're going to flip it over and do some more work. Okay, the other side. So, usual, we're gonna clean up in here, clean up in here, clean everywhere in there. Some grease, as you can see. We'll re-grease this. The bearing, which conveniently dropped out when it was upside down, we're going to get all that gunk out of there, clean it well, and fill that with lithium. The other washer was stuck, will go like that, obviously, and bada bing. But that's the one that goes onto the platter, that was stuck to the platter. There's also another washer down in there. Why don't we get it out while we're talking about it? So that guy needs to get cleaned as well. There's also a bunch of gunk in there. Clean all that. So, clean the spindle for the platter, the spindle right there where the platter rotates on. We're going to clean that, and then we're going to clean all this up. Okay, with that all cleaned up, we put some grease here. We have filled the bearing cage full of grease. That goes on there. I already put the other, did I put the other washer in? Yeah, the other washer's already down there. And the top washer goes back in. And then, don't forget to put a little around the spindle right there, because the next thing is this guy. So the platter, we're going to clean around in here, put a layer of grease on here, but clean around in here, these bronze bushings right there. Same on the other side, clean. And then also, don't forget to clean inside the lip with alcohol or acetone to get any residue, because that's where the idler basically drives your record, and you won't get correct speed if it's slipping, and that's where it normally slips. Dirt on there. Also, this arm, you can see that doesn't go down very well. That's because this needs cleaning, the record rest arm, so that it'll fall on its own weight. So give that a good clean, and then put a drop of oil around it and smear that all over. All right, put back together, cleaned up rather nicely. We did all with that arm, as you can see, drops down perfectly. But I thought we'd give a talk about this guy. The cartridge on this is what's called free floating, I believe. I'm just going to show you a little trick I do here to hold this thing up. And this is a 355, a static 355. At the moment, there's no known replacement for this guy. And that's because this sits on the record, and then this floats, as you can see, on the record. So it's all set. There is no tracking weight adjustment to be set. So that's it. These are hard to come by. If you find one, get it. It's a 355D. As you can see, I've collected these because I use them in my restorations. But yeah, they're getting harder to come by. If you can find one, get one. You pull this out. That's what holds it in. Doing this, and there you can see. So it's weighted. That's the weight. So it just floats as this rests on the record. And you can get these from Gary if yours is lost. It's a bit of felt there. Clean that felt up, because that's what rubs on the record. But you can get these from Gary at Voice of Music. But yeah, there you go, the Elder Static 355D. Hopefully yours works. Okay, so we got the speakers back in, the big guys, and we did do the crossover caps. You're probably wondering why it's so dark in here. It's because I wanted to share with you an LED upgrade. Now, I don't always do LEDs because not all brands do them well. Zenith the LED has to punch through this dark plastic, and it never really seems to work, especially on the big Mark 4s or 4 louver jobs. Anyway, I just want to share with you, I did LED on top, that's regular on bottom. It just pops a little bit more, but it really pops down here. There's that's LED on the right, and that's regular number 47s. So whatever floats your boat, I'm going to go with LEDs on this. I think it just makes it pop a little bit, but I thought I'd share that with you before I popped it back in. Okay, she's all done. The RCA Annapolis, one of the best looking consoles from the 60s, the mid 60s. She sounds awesome. I'll do a separate video of her playing. But yeah, enjoyed working on this one. It was pretty straightforward. Did the normal wood treatment that I do with Watco oil. But yeah, just one of the I like to call the Holy Grail consoles. There's a few of them. I should do a video of what I think the Holy Grail consoles are. But yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. Like I said, I'll do a video of her playing. But yeah, thanks for watching. We'll do it again.